The town of Marshfield began their Springtown meeting on Monday, April 22nd, in the Marshfield High School auditorium. The meeting would address both a special and annual town meeting warrant. The first night of town meeting covered a majority of the articles on the special town meeting warrant. Two articles to stir up questions and comments from voters were Articles 9 and 10, which authorized the town to borrow two sums of $650,000 to fund the design of a new DPW facility and a new police facility. After separate presentations were given by both departments showing the current state of both these buildings, residents spoke out about their concerns regarding the town's ability to maintain infrastructure given the current state of these buildings, and that there was no answer as to how much these buildings would cost after being designed.
I think if you poll the audience, the legislative body here, I think there's got to be an estimate. Usually there is. I mean, when I was on the Capital Committee, when we had a fire building, there was a range. That's got to be the first question asked. If it isn't, we should go back to the drawing board and find a new cost. This body is in support of the project. We need a new building. We just need an estimate. I think it's a fair question, Mr. Moderator. And if we can't get it, then there's something wrong up there. We should be able to get a cost. That's a fair question, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Kai, I certainly agree that it's a fair question. All I'm relaying to you is Mr. Reynolds said that he had no such estimate.
Then does anybody in the town have some kind of estimate? It's got to be.
Excuse me, hang on just a moment.
Thank you, sir.
You're more than welcome. Mr. Reynolds, do you know of anyone else connected either with the Department of Public Works or this particular project that could give an estimate or a ballpark figure without speculation?
Mr. Moderator, the three pictures that I showed of already recently built DPW facilities have ranged from $14 million to $20 million.
Gentleman at the right microphone.
Good evening, Mr. Moderator. Steve Robbins, Planning Fields Road. I'd like to first start off by saying I support this Article 10. Unfortunately, when we get into projects this size, we start talking about $20, $30, $40 million buildings, the proposer only has 5 minutes to speak, which I think is totally unfair to the body of town meeting to have them rush through that. I would like some further clarification from the chief, if I could, through you.
Well, let's see if we can help you.
Okay, I'm a little bit more concerned about what the present safety concerns are, number one, and number two, why can't the electrical just be upgraded?
All right, Chief, can you answer that question?
I can answer both.
Would you please?
Okay, I'll start with the electrical. I have a letter here from High Voltage Associates dated July 1st, 2018. And in the letter he writes, "You are aware that there was an incident on June 28, 2018 at the police station. In the main electrical distribution panel, an electrical circuit breaker panel burnt up. This panel was the feeder for the E911 system. The breakers for this panel to replace are no longer available, and therefore the panel had to be replaced. The system was jumped over to another power source in the interim. The electrical service to the police department in general is antiquated, inadequate, and taxed. There is also no availability for expansion. The same situation exists in the Emergency Operations Center, as there is no more available room for circuits in the breaker panel, and it is overloaded at this time. In short, the total electrical distribution system, the distribution room, and panels on the other levels is a hazard."
All right, I think he asked about safety. Did you not, sir? Did you want to address that too, Chief?
Certainly. In regards to safety and security, there are no cameras inside or outside the police station except for the front parking lot. There's no prisoner interview room. There's a lack of bullet-resistant materials. There's no bail room, no prisoner release room. The Sally Port does not close and lock, and there are narrow walking paths through public areas. The booking room does not have protective glass or cuffing rails. Our officers have often been spit at and attacked. Cameras and phones pose a danger as they're in reach of prisoners. Several of these issues expose my officers to dangerous confrontations with prisoners. Modern-day police stations have handcuffing rail systems that make it virtually impossible for a prisoner to fight with officers once back at the police station. Additionally, the jail cells themselves do not meet the suicide prevention guidelines, to include lack of ligature-proof fixtures, grills, doors, and grates, which is a safety problem. We've oftentimes had to go into the cell and get people down that have attempted to hang themselves.
Do you have another? I'm sorry, are you still addressing that? Or did you
The list goes on and on and on. The layout of the police station, in order to bring somebody from the cells or the booking room to interview them, you have to walk them through public areas. It not only poses a danger for the officers that are working, but for anybody in the general public that could be in there seeking public records or speaking with any number of our staff members. But the list goes on.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Both articles ended up clearly passing by more than a 2/3 vote. The passing of Article 10 even received a round of applause from the audience following an acknowledgement of Marshfield being named one of the safest communities in the country.
Chief, if I could give you a pat on the back, I think it was one of the safest communities not only in the Commonwealth, but where else?
In the country.
Yeah.
Following those two articles was Article 14, which limited the number of recreational marijuana establishments allowed in the town to 2. After a proposed amendment to the article was voted down after it was put to a standing vote, a point of order was made to argue that the moderator had proceeded too quickly and not allowed enough time for discussion on the original article.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Cantwell, you were up there. Are you rising to a point of order?
No, I'm rising to discuss the main article.
Well, my feeling was that the main article had been adequately discussed in terms of the discussion with respect to the amendment.
Well, I respectfully disagree.
Hang on, Mr. Cantwell. We'll handle this, okay? All right. If it is the sense of the meeting that I proceeded too quickly to a vote on the main motion, raise your hand. All right? There's enough people that feel that way. All right?
Once the article was finally voted on, it was passed by a majority vote. Night 1 of town meeting ended with 4 articles remaining on the special town meeting warrant, and with 22 articles still to be covered on the annual town meeting warrant.
In personal finance, there are 4 basic qualities you should look for in an advisory firm.
Financial advisor, certified financial planner practitioner, fiduciary, family.
Lucky for you, we embody all 4 qualities, and we're right here in Marshfield. Does it get any better than that?
Hi, I'm Alyssa McNamara-Reed.
I'm Mike McNamara.
Hi, I'm Kirk Reed.
Find out more at McNamaraFinancial.com.
Town meeting continued into Tuesday, April 23rd. The night began with finishing the remaining 4 articles on the special town meeting warrant, 2 of which were withdrawn. The first article to be covered on the annual town meeting warrant was the operating budget for the fiscal year 2020. More than half of this budget will be dedicated to the Marshfield Public Schools. Superintendent Jeffrey Granatino gave a presentation to explain where this funding will be going.
What we have now in front of us is an FY20 budget that's been updated based on the numbers available through the process and working with the town. Again, building off of the $48,326,176, we still have our contractual obligations of $1,365,000. Our operational increases, again, the areas that we know are going to go up various degrees, the full day K, the substitutes, the school nurse, the technology one-to-one, the vocational day tuition. From January to now, we've had an increase of almost $100,000 in tuitions that will be going to vocational schools of students who have elected to attend South Shore Vocational as well as Norfolk County Agricultural School. Our transportation increase is figured in there, and so for operational increases, we have $633,000. So above and beyond the salaries, we know our costs are going to go up that much. What we've done to try to offset that is to, we look at our student enrollment each year, and there's a reduction. And again, I want to make sure I'm clear that this is not reflective of any person losing a job, but there are 3 fewer full-time equivalents that we will have next year based on enrollment numbers. And to give you some perspective, over the last 11 years, there are now going to be, if this passes, there'll be 25 fewer classroom teachers at the elementary level. And again, when people ask about enrollment going down, this is what we've done to offset that that decrease in enrollment. We've had fewer classes. So right now, to help offset our increases, there would be 3 fewer staff. We would also be looking at tapping into our compensated balance reserve. This is money that's put aside each year to help offset costs rising from sick leave buyback. Any staff member that was hired before 2001, when they retire, they have the ability to get their sick leave buyback. And we've had a revolving fund that we've used in the past to help pay those costs when they arise. We don't have anyone retiring, or we have a smaller number retiring this year and projected for next year. So we are using the, money from that reserve fund to help offset the increases. So there'd be $598,000 in operational decreases to bring our budget to the number that was kind of allotted to us through the process working with the town of $49,726,176.
Both the operating and capital budget articles were approved by voters. The approved capital budget projects include a new elevator and roof at Town Hall, new DPW vehicles, and seawall repairs. 2 citizens' petition articles failed to pass, one of which was sought to fine pet owners who didn't pick up their dog's waste, and another which would have banned the sale of alcohol containers that are 200 milliliters or less, also known as NIPS. Police Chief Phil Tavares spoke out against Article 16, stating the negative effects that would occur should this article pass.
Just Phil Tavares, Police Chief. I agree littering is a major problem in town, no question about it. Some of the unintentional consequences I just want people to be aware of. One is, if it's not a statewide ban, they will either go out of town, or the problem drinker may end up buying a larger bottle, which would be glass, and they'll toss that out the window. So we'd be dealing with broken glass, but we'd be also dealing with the problem drinker consuming more alcohol. And this is a 200 milliliter bottle, this size right here. So we'd be talking about something bigger than this. The second thing is that Randy Hunt and Josh Cutler filed legislation to treat this more like recycling as opposed to trash, and to put a statewide deposit on these. So if somebody does throw them out the window, if they don't get run over by a car, hopefully other people are picking them up and doing a deposit on them. And lastly, Chelsea has appealed, the businesses have appealed to the ABCC. They're in the middle of that, and the next step would be to appeal to Superior Court, which would be potentially very costly in legal fees.
All right.
Towards the end of the evening, 2 citizens' petition articles were approved by the remaining voters. Article 17 authorized the town to research, develop, and participate in a community choice aggregation program. This program would put all electrical customers into a single bargaining unit to negotiate for more favorable rates on green energy, with the option for customers to opt out. Article 18 was a non-binding resolution urging the town to increase its use of Class 1 renewable resources for generating electricity. The second night of town meeting ended close to midnight after completing all items on the warrant. The next town meeting will take place later this year in October. There's your town meeting recap. I'm Sean Leary, reporting for Marshfield Community News, presented by McNamara Financial.